Brandy, Melissa.
You sure?
Good morning.
Good morning. Just state your name and who you represent, or yourself.
Brandy, myself, and my deceased mom, who
Okay.
succumbed to domestic violence trauma in 2017. Bear with me, this was not easy at all.
Take your time.
Chairman Miller, committee members, and fellow Louisiana citizens. Louisiana prides itself in being a pro-life state. Being pro-life doesn't, however, end at 40 weeks gestation. Survivors of domestic violence are among one of the many vulnerable populations who are at times unable to defend themselves or speak up. That is where the legislature can help. Passing HB 55 by Representative Aimee Freeman would be a much-needed step in that process. Not only was I conceived in sexual violence, I live with severe brain trauma. Brain scans from last year. That hole in my brain literally exists today. From enduring brutal domestic violence in utero. At the age of 6, I also watched my sperm contributor leave my mom to die. We then relocated to Baton Rouge, and it was a grueling process for her to get TROs, then divorced, at which point she was granted a permanent injunction, which I have about 10, 15 pages of right here. That did not stop her abuser from his goal of making her life miserable. However, I owe forever gratitude to the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, especially Captain Strickland, who is now retired, and other law enforcement agencies that gave me 25 more years with my mom before she finally succumbed to domestic violence trauma. Thanksgiving Eve 2017. Looking back on my mom's protective order of permanent injunction, it's obvious that even after surviving a domestic violence attempted murder in 1990, and even with everyone knowing 99% of the 8-foot-long criminal record, my sperm contributor being from crimes against my mom, she had to jump through a bunch of hoops and red tape that was overwhelming and, in my opinion, unnecessary before the order was finalized. Mind you, at the time, my mom had a disabled child, me, and 2 other children to raise, which she did like a champ in spite of her own battles. Sitting in this room, at this table, ironically in this very chair as hard as the last time I was in this committee room on domestic violence. It was to support my mom 6 years ago. She bravely sat here and advocated for legislation to pass. Now it's my turn to do what I do best for others, as she always encouraged me to do when I came up here. Allowing survivors to affirm versus get affidavits makes the risky legal step of escaping abusive situations easier. You already took that notary's thing out, but I'm going to read this anyway. Notaries are not charged with deciding someone's honesty, and those in true danger should not be punished. I completely agree that people who make false claims about such traumatic experiences should face consequences, but you have more of those who need the ability to affirm than others. Affirmations also have the same legal effect as affidavits do. Let the legal system handle perjury issues for the sake of those like my mom who have documented histories of abuse and or physical signs. If this bill, God forbid, doesn't make it out today, we could have countless more victims end up in the condition my mom currently is. I'm sure y'all can see that box. That's her urn in my apartment right now. And I wish the pain I've endured since the morning I climbed through her living room window on no one. I witnessed in the 34 years, 2 months, and 10 days that I was blessed to have my mom more heartache and effects of trauma from domestic violence than many could handle. I'm open about some, but not everything. On behalf of survivors not strong enough to speak up, please support HB 55 and end the maze of hoops they have to jump through to get the protection they deserve. Thank you for your time and bear with me through what is so far the hardest day of my life this year.
Thank you, Ms. Brandy, and thank you for your courage and your strength for being here. And again, for your loss, we certainly can't understand how much that is on you, and how much you've lost. So
one more thing I'd like to say, if you don't mind. I watched. Sure. I was out of town when y'all had the committee last week, but when Representative Jefferson said that sometimes you leave with nothing, I don't remember if it was on this bill or 375. The day I watched my dad try to kill my mom. We were in a rural area where we didn't have a phone. They didn't have phone service. The only way my mom escaped was our landlord had a diesel truck and the road was gravel. We lived in the middle of a sugarcane field about 2 hours away from here. My dad, when he was choking the life out of my mom and leaving a rope burn out around her neck that lasted for over 6 months, he heard the diesel truck and ran out the door. I ran outside screaming, and our neighbor that had a phone came outside and asked me what was wrong. When the cops got there, all we could leave with was the stuff on our backs. The next day, they gave her 15 minutes to go get I wasn't physically as independent as I am now. So they gave her 15 minutes to get what she could of ours, including all my assistive devices that I needed. You sometimes do leave with absolutely nothing but the clothes on your back. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you for bringing it up last week.
thank you. Representative Mike Johnson for a question.
Ms. Brandy, what you have done this morning, I've not seen a braver person testify. And what you did this morning, you spoke for thousands of people and your mother, people who can't be here to testify. And I've just not seen that much courage from anybody in a long time. And after having heard you testify, I don't see how anybody can vote against this bill. So your words and your genuineness is a gift to us, and I know it comes at a cost to you, but I just want to say thank you. I'm inspired to do the right thing on this even more, and just God bless you, and God bless you from all of the people that might avoid this because of your courage and bravery.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Representative Aimee for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to take a moment and echo what my colleagues have said. Your strength and your courage are going to really be a blessing to so many others, more than you can imagine. And just as a mom, I believe that most every mom who sees and hears this would agree with me when I say, I bet your mom's really proud of you.
Oh, she is.
Thank you for being tireless and coming here all the time and sitting through these long meetings and speaking with us from your personal experience. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Aimee. I think that's all the green cards to testify. And again, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Ms. Brandy.
Thank you for
With that, you can go ahead and close on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and again, Brandy, I commend you for your courage. We all do. So I asked for favorable passage, and it also, can I ask for a co-author sheet for anybody who would like to co-author on the committee? Representative Marino texted me to ask for that. If anybody else would like to join in co-authoring with him, I would love to have co-authors on this.
Sure. Ms. Sanders is going to go ahead and circulate a co-author sheet for anyone who wants to be a co-author. So, all right. With that, we have Representative Jenkins has moved to report House Bill 55 with amendments. Are there any objections to reporting House Bill 55 with amendments? Seeing none, House Bill 55 is reported with amendments.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And
Mr. Speaker and members, Representative Aimee Freeman moves to call from the calendar on the notice given list House Bill 55.
Representative Aimee Freeman. Without objection.
House Bill 55 by Representative Aimee Freeman to amend the Code of Civil Procedure, Children's Code, Title 46, relative to issuance of protective orders, provide relative to complainant seeking protection from domestic abuse, dating violence, stalking, sexual assault, procedures, witness, crime of perjury.
Representative Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this is the same bill that we talked about a week and a half ago. To put the bill in its proper posture, can I release the amendments, Madam Clerk?
All right, Madam Clerk, let's take up the amendment.
Representative Aimee Freeman offers up one page set of amendments, number 2248.
All right, Representative Freeman on your amendment.
Members, after discussions with the NRA, we came to an agreement on some amendments that clarify that this is only for a temporary restraining order, and the amendment puts the bill in its proper posture in a way that we can help victims and survivors of domestic violence in compliance with the NRA's concerns.
All right, question on the amendment, Representative Ivey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Freeman, I appreciate you going the distance and really trying to address the concerns. Some people would just kind of take their ball and go home. I appreciate the effort. Do you commit to keep this bill in this posture as it makes its way through the process to not allow the concerns to be brought back if someone were to try to strip it?
I will continue to work through the process. As you know, on the Senate side, I don't always have control, but I will continue to work with the NRA and any concerns that people have as we go forward.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, there are no more questions. Any objection to the adoption of the amendment? Seeing none, the amendment is adopted. Back on the bill. All right, no questions on the bill. Representative Freeman moves final passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. The clerk will open the machines. Members, vote your machines. Vote your machines, members. Presley, yes. Dubasan, yes. Ilg, yes. Gary Carter, yes. Phelps, yes. You through voting, members? All right, close them up. Harris, yes. All right, you through voting? All right, close them up. 93 yeas, 1 nay, and the bill is finally passed. Representative Freeman moves to adopt the title, moves to reconsider the vote by which the bill was finally passed. Lay that motion on the table without objection, so ordered. All right, open it up for co-authors. Members, co-authors. Co-authors, members, vote your machines for co-authors. Vote your machines for co-authors, members. All right, you through voting? All right, close it up. 10 co-authors. All right.
Brandy Melissa. Brandy, welcome to Jude. Although we all know you, please state your name for the record.
Brandy, here representing myself. And some of y'all know my deceased mother who succumbed to domestic violence trauma. Thanksgiving Eve 2017.
Hold the microphone a little bit closer to you, Brandy. Thank
Sorry,
you.
my computer's in the way. Yeah. Chairman Peacock, committee members, and fellow Louisiana citizens. I'm sitting here today to urge your support on HB 55 by Representative Aimee Freeman and to explain from a side that isn't usually heard in the political debates in the legislature why this bill is vital to our state. Louisiana prides itself on being a pro-life state. Being pro-life, however, doesn't end at 40 weeks gestation. Survivors of domestic violence are among one of the many vulnerable populations who are at times unable to defend themselves or speak up. That is where the legislature can help. Passing HB 55 by Representative Aimee Freeman would be a much-needed step in that process. Not only was I conceived in sexual violence, I live with severe brain trauma. My CAT scans and MRIs from August of 2020. That hole you see in my brain is there today. right now. They told my mom, excuse me, that first of all, that I would be a vegetable, tried to get her to institutionalize me, but she raised a fighter for a reason. From enduring brutal domestic violence in utero at the age of 6, I also watched my sperm contributor leave my mom to die. We then relocated to Baton Rouge, and it was a grueling process for her to get TROs, then divorced, at which point she was granted a permanent injunction. I ain't reading it because it would probably give y'all nightmares for weeks. That did not stop her abuser from his goal of making her life miserable. However, I owe forever gratitude to East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, especially now retired Captain Strickland and other law enforcement agencies that gave me 25 more years with my mom before she finally succumbed to domestic violence trauma on the morning of Thanksgiving Eve 2017. Looking back on my mom's protective order permanent injunction, it's obvious that even after surviving a domestic violence attempted murder in 1990, and with everyone knowing 99% of the 8-foot-long criminal record of my sperm contributor being from crimes against my mom, she had to jump through a bunch of hoops and red tape that was overwhelming and, in my opinion, unnecessary before the order was finalized. Mind you, at the time, my mom had a disabled child, me, and 2 other children to raise, which she did like a champ, in spite of her own battles. HB 55 has faced hurdles since its first hearing in civil law, much like the hoops that survivors of domestic violence are expected to jump through when they get brave enough to escape brutal abuse, while sometimes abusers face no challenges or consequences. Allowing survivors to affirm versus get affidavits makes the risky first legal step of escaping abusive situations easier. I'm glad forcing survivors of domestic violence to jump through hoops to have notaries involved in the process of getting much needed protection from abuse is no longer the problem in this bill, because notaries are not charged with deciding someone's honesty, and those in true danger should not be punished. I completely agree that people who make false claims about such a traumatic experience should face consequences. I live with the effects of domestic violence, and I will for the rest of my life. But you have more of those who need the ability to affirm than others. Affirmations also have the same legal effect as affidavits do. Let the legal system handle perjury issues for the sake of those like my mom, who have documented histories of abuse and/or physical challenges. I know from dealing with my mom's final arrangements that being allowed to have someone witness documents without having to hop on and off of the seemingly never-ending roller coaster and legal process can be in traumatic situations makes the experience less stressful. I had to by law ID my mom's body. However, Green Oaks allowed a friend of my mom's she did volunteer work with to do it with me and let us spend as much time as needed with her. I try not to cry, I can't help it. Those final farewells were still unbearable to me. However, Green Oaks was awesome and completely understood my hesitation. The last time I saw my mom like that, before the day I found her, was the day I survived. She survived being left to die in front of me in 1990. I hope that in a sense helps you understand why allowing a witness to sign instead of forcing notarizing where one is not always available is best. And as I stated, deciding to leave abuse is rough, and the step to obtain protection doesn't need to further complicate safety or trauma. On Tuesday afternoon, April 27, 2021, House members received floor notes from the NRA on HB 55, claiming it's a bad bill because it takes away gun rights. First of all, HB 55 has nothing to do with firearms, so their claims are absurd. When someone is involved in domestic abuse and they get protective orders, that comes with consequences for abusers, as it should. Had my sperm contributor had a gun, I would have died in my mom's womb in 1983, because had he shot her trying to get her to lose me, we both would have died. Had a firearm been in our home on the afternoon of February 1st, 1990, he would have shot her dead in front of me when he opted to strangle the life out of her. Domestic violence abusers do not deserve gun rights because guns are dangerous to victims. The victims that are classified as domestic violence homicide are mostly those killed by gunshot. It's not a pro-life value to allow violent people to have rights law-abiding citizens that enjoy. I'm almost done. I urge you once again to stand with victims of domestic violence and support HB 55 by Representative Aimee Freeman, and ignore the futile arguments of the NRA, who had made no effort to attend committee hearings that I came very close to bringing my mom's urn to, including this one today, so you all could ask her how she feels about domestic abusers having gun rights. Most left behind after deaths caused by domestic violence and abuse bury the victims. I have the unique opportunity of having not only constant physical reminders physically for the rest of my life, but also in the way I chose her disposition to have it literally, to educate those who advocate endlessly for domestic abusers to have gun rights on the outcome of what happens. And that is dead victims. I assure you, she would not support the NRA on this issue. She never did when she was still with us, but the extreme trauma, talking about her trauma cause, she left fighting them to me, and I have for years now. Today is not my first public rebuke of them on this building or elsewhere. They value lives of survivors so much and are so willing to engage us that I was recently blocked on social media by the regional spokesperson who first approached a legislator this session with opposition to these bills, yet failed to appear during the last hearing. Mind you, I didn't engage the person of calling the Louisiana Shooting Association rep who spoke on HB 159. Scum to my very existence, clearly offended them. I haven't lost 1 second of sleep over their immaturity. The nerve they had to even approach Rep. Freeman. With opposition to her bill literally boiled my blood, and those who know her personal experience understand why. I could never and would never pour salt on someone in her shoes as they did without regard for her. If this bill, God forbid, doesn't make it out of Jude, we could have countless more victims in the condition my mom currently is. That's her urn in that box. And I wish the pain I've endured since the morning I climbed through her living room window on no one. I witnessed in the 34 years, 2 months, and 10 days that I was blessed to have my mom more heartache and effects of trauma from domestic violence than anyone could handle. I'm open about some, but not everything. On behalf of survivors not strong enough to speak up, please support HB 55 and in the maze of hoops they have to jump through to get protection they deserve. Thank you for your time and for bearing with me through what is so far one of the hardest days of my life this year. And I thought this was going to come, 59 was going to come later, so I say to consider this because I wasn't going to get up here and repeat myself. And Senator Fields, please extend my gratitude to Judge Fields for his role in helping me with her final disposition, and also please express a thanks to him for making her birthday last year bearable for me when I went a week after jury duty just to hear his talk and laugh. If even only for a minute, I would think of myself, but haven't been able to yet, maybe one day. And I had this shirt on, so if you take a picture, he'll remember probably.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you. Sorry I
And
took
thank
so
you
long.
for your activity throughout the years of my being in here. I know you've been active on all these bills. So
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Senator Fields?
And I will be sure to tell the judge that you made the precious comments you made about him today. Thank you.
Next, we have Katie Hunter Lowry, Louisiana Survivors for Reform. Welcome to Jude.
Good morning. My name is Katie Hunter Lowry. I'm the crime survivor organizer at the Promise of Justice Initiative, where I coordinate the Louisiana Survivors for Reform Coalition. And I want to thank all the survivors and victim survivors who have spoken today. It's a very difficult thing to do in this space. Many members of our Louisiana Survivors for Reform community are actively surviving or healing from domestic violence, and the barriers that these survivors face to getting and staying safe, having the support to recover, and the impediments put up by gatekeepers of the criminal legal system are countless. And, Brandy talked about this, and I think it's really important to be clear about the conditions we're talking about that lead people to seek TROs. Words like abuse and violence can be nebulous and vague, but what we're talking about is beating, choking, torture, and homicide.
We have no cards in opposition. The board is clear. Representative Freeman, would you wish to close?
I would just like to thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the committee for allowing survivors to testify today. I'd like to thank the survivors who have the courage to come in front of you and give you their personal stories. There's so many other survivors and victims in our state that can't come to the table at this point. So I appreciate your favorable passage of this bill and working with you if needed on the Senate floor to coordinate with anybody who wants more information and the step forward for helping the victims and survivors of domestic violence in our state.
Well, thank you for bringing this bill. What's the motion by Senator Fields to report House Bill 55 favorable? Is there any objection to that motion? Hearing no objection, House Bill 55 will be reported favorable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
House Bill 55 by Representative Freeman is an act to amend the Code of Civil Procedure and the Children's Code in Title 46 relative to the issuance of protective orders.
Senator Barrow.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, House Bill 55 by Representative Freeman is a simple bill to simplify the process for individuals who are needing temporary restraining orders. So simply what the bill would do for those who are fleeing for their lives, it would cut time, it would cut the cost by allowing them to have a signed affirmation instead of having it notarized. Seeing no questions, I ask for favorable passage.
Senator Barrow moves final passage of House Bill 55. When the machines are open, all those in favor vote yea, those opposed vote nay, and the Secretary will open the machines. Vote your machines. Senator Ward, yes. Senator Tarver, yes. Senator Cathy, yes. Senator Talbot, yes. You through voting? Close the machines. 36 yeas and 0 nays, and the bill is finally passed. Senator Barrow moves to reconsider the vote by which the bill passed and lay that motion on the table without objection. So ordered.